and welcome to South Asia Today, a show that provides you the glimpses of South Asia. I'm your host Yeshi. Here are the headlines. India-China agree to pull back troops from disputed Himalayan lake. India and Afghanistan inked MOU to build new Shatut Dam in Kabul. And Hindu devotees in India take holy dips on Mauni Amavasya. Let's begin the show. So finally, after months of a bitter standoff, the tanks and troops at LAC in India's Ladakh region are retracting. Both India and China, after several rounds of diplomatic and military talks, have called it peace along the Pangong Lake. Talks are underway to also disengage from other points of confrontation. While Chinese Army PLA, which has been accused of bullying its neighbours, failed its browbeating its Indian counterparts, Beijing's trade and diplomatic defeats, coupled with bad press, have compelled it to withdraw from high altitudes where its intrusive campaigns have only proven to be futile and counterproductive.
This video released by Indian Army shows a systematic disengagement being carried out by Chinese PLA and Indian Army in the barren mountains of Ladakh, where the Pangong Lake is located. The breakthrough was achieved after 10 months of a bitter standoff that had escalated to a primitive-style fistfight between two sides in June, killing 20 Indian soldiers and an unspecified number of Chinese troops. As per the agreement, the Chinese troops who had intruded to the Indian side of LAC at Finger 4 are to retreat to east of Finger 8. Indian troops will be based at their permanent base near Finger 3. New Delhi's endeavours have been to promote and restore peace and tranquility at the border, and it followed a sustained exercise of dialogue to reach the agreement.
सभापति महोदय, फ्रिक्शन क्षेत्रों में डिसएंगेजमेंट के लिए भारत का यह मत है कि 2020 की फॉरवर्ड डिप्लॉयमेंट जो एक दूसरे के बहुत नजदीक हैं वे दूर हो जाएं और दोनों सेनाएं वापस अपनी अपनी स्थायी या मान्य चौकियों पर वापस लौट जाएं.
Several international observers who have closely followed the Chinese expansionist designs in the past say that people might call it a mutual agreement, but Beijing has suffered a defeat of a sort as India did not cow down even to its intense pressure and in fact gave it back whenever China transgressed. And it was after Beijing realized that India, unlike other small and less powerful nations, will not back down, did they alter their bullish stance. India has mobilized thousands of troops and heavy artillery in the region, realizing diabolic geopolitical ambitions of China. It also carried out a series of missile tests to keep itself prepared for further escalation. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, while addressing his parliament members, said that not an inch of the territory was conceded to Chinese.
बातचीत के लिए हमारी स्ट्रेटजी तथा अप्रोच माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के इस दिशा निर्देश पर आधारित है कि हम अपनी 1 इंच जमीन भी किसी और को नहीं लेने देंगे. हमारे दृढ़ संकल्प का ही यह फल है कि हम समझौते की स्थिति पर पहुंच गए हैं.
Last year, China had stepped up its intrusive exercise in a bid to divert the global attention following the outbreak of the deadly pandemic, which had its root back in the Chinese mainland. However, India's swift response, both militarily and diplomatically, foiled its plans. New Delhi also banned a number of Chinese applications, rendering its private players who have been in cahoots with the government a major financial blow. Beijing also registered a trade loss following a section of Indian market boycotted Chinese products. Relocation of businesses out of China owing to alleged Chinese complicity in the spread of the coronavirus added to the woes. China has also been rattled by the applause India has received following its expeditious supply of safe and effective COVID vaccines across the continents. So past 1 year has just been of defeats, and that too of colossal defeats for Chinese. On the other side, India has shown the world it has not just been advocating peace and harmony, but has been walking the talk whenever there was a need to. In such a pro-India global sentiment and scenario coupled with assertive and equipped Indian forces, China didn't have many options available. It had to backtrack, and it did.
Moving on, the Nepal political crisis is getting murkier. In what is already appearing to be a prolonged crisis, both factions of PM Oli and opposition leader Pushpa Kamal Dahal are battling it out on the streets. While the Supreme Court is yet to pronounce its assessment and ruling, the leaders have stepped up their blame game. PM Oli, who has been expelled from his party, has very conveniently returned to his nationalistic rhetoric to regain what observers have dubbed lost support. The opposition, meanwhile, has vowed to intensify its movement until what they say justice is served and parliament restored.
The politics of Himalayan nation Nepal is in doldrums. A large section of country's citizenry has taken sides and is on the streets rooting for its leaders' stand and demand. Incidents of clashes and violence that were foreseen by observers weeks ago are now increasingly occupying space amidst demonstrations. Opposition, which has escalated its demand of reinstating the parliamentary functions, has garnered more support of late. Tens of thousands have added since the lower house of the Nepalese parliament was dissolved by Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli on 20th December. The men at the helm of the swelling opposition, Pushpa Kamal Dahal, who goes by his Namdigar Prachanda, has even warned of a revolt if what he calls the unconstitutional move was not rolled back.
यदि संविधानको अक्षर र भावना, संविधानको मर्म र भावना विपरीत, नेपाली जनताको चाहना र आकांक्षा विपरीत केही काम गरियो भने त्यो दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण हुनेछ। त्यो नेपाली जनतालाई सह्य हुने छैन। जनताको यो शान्तिपूर्ण आन्दोलन विद्रोहमा गयो भने के हुन्छ, प्रत्येकले विचार गर्न जरुरी छ।
Meanwhile, KP Sharma Oli, now the caretaker Prime Minister, who has already announced date of the snap elections in April and May, has launched scathing attacks on opposition, saying they never let him work and wanted to topple his government. Since this dissolution, Oli has been in a campaigning mode, asking people to back him in the upcoming elections. He has resorted to nationalistic rhetoric, asking people to unite against the force which he accuses of harming the sovereignty of the country. Opposition has dismissed it as desperation. Oli has even ruled out the role of the Supreme Court in current crisis, saying it was a political issue and judiciary had no role and authority to intervene. However, the petitions have been thoroughly observed by the judiciary and it is set to give its verdict in coming days. While an Oli victory would push country towards elections on 30th April and 10th May, a different ruling could bring his political ambitions to an end. Now, much remains uncertain in the country that has witnessed different coups and disorders in governance. 2015 constitution was supposed to provide it immunity against such situation, but even that has failed. Country's economy has already been battered by the pandemic, and a political crisis has only worsened the situation. And while observers across the world are closely monitoring the rapidly evolving dynamics of Kathmandu, the country might be pushing itself into deeper trouble where it would be no less than an uphill task to recover from even after the crisis is over.
Now we take a look at some happenings in Asia in a segment called Asia Watch.
Industrial robots are in robust demand by China's manufacturing sector, which has largely recovered from the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. A mobile phone parts manufacturer in South China's Shenzhen city that had been struggling with labor shortages and increasing costs turned around the production efficiency after buying 10 articulated robots last year and say they will buy even more this year. The company's head of production says the robots are both efficient and accurate. Industrial robot manufacturers, meanwhile, are seeing an increase in orders. This industrial robot producer in Shenzhen has been working at full capacity since last summer. It has even met its first quarter sales goal in just 1 month. One industry expert attributed to the growth partly to the social distancing measures of the pandemic, which prevent line employees from working together. Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga said that the country would begin COVID-19 vaccinations from the middle of next week. Suga was speaking at a meeting with officials of the government and the ruling party. Suga had earlier said the vaccination would start in mid-February. The Japanese government plans to vaccinate medical workers first, then the elderly, followed by people with health conditions and those working at elderly care facilities. Japan, with a population of 126 million, signed contracts to procure 314 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines from AstraZeneca plc, Moderna and Pfizer, enough for 157 million people. Multiple anti-epidemic measures are taken to guarantee the safety of performers and on-spot spectators of China's 2021 Spring Festival Gala, which is in full swing to shine on the eve of the Lunar New Year on Thursday. The China Media Group CMG, the producer of the Spring Festival Gala, has dispatched a special team for anti-epidemic operations throughout the production of the event. The group has mobilized a special testing vehicle for emergency and will have all the cast and on-spot spectators involved in the gala tested for COVID-19. The vehicle also functions as a mobile laboratory which can perform both the sampling and delivering of nucleic acid testing results. With the robotic arms installed to collect samples, the risk of cross-contamination between samples and operators are minimized. The test report comes out in about 40 minutes, with the results automatically appearing on the tested people's phone screens. Anti-epidemic workers have frequently disinfected the gala venue, and human flows into the main studio and relevant areas have been strictly managed to guarantee a safe environment for the gala. The gala, also known as Chunwan in Chinese, has been broadcast live annually since 1983. It is the most important cultural symbol for the Lunar New Year celebration in China. More than 500 million television viewers were tuned in to watch the Spring Festival Gala in 2020, while clips of the show also saw over 1 billion views across various new media platforms.
In the line of Indo-Afghan Development Partnership, New Delhi and Kabul recently signed a memorandum of understanding to build a new dam in Kabul province to meet the drinking water and irrigation needs of the people in the region. The event held just 3 days after Kabul received India-manufactured COVID vaccines, further emphasized that Indo-Afghan ties that are marked by years of assistance, cooperation and joint endeavors towards attaining all-round peace.
New Delhi has pledged $236 million for a dam construction in Afghanistan. This is the latest in the wide array of development projects India has built for the war-torn country. The Shahtoot Dam construction is a part of the series of new development initiatives announced by India in November last year. Apart from the dam construction, New Delhi will also be spearheading 150 community projects worth $80 million in the country. The Shahtoot Dam will be a source of drinkable water for 2.2 million people of Kabul and also provide irrigation facilities for 4,000 hectares of land. Prime Minister Narendra Modi exuded confidence in the ever-strengthening partnership with Afghanistan, where people have increasingly suffered violence and political crisis.
मैं ये कह सकता हूं कि आज हम काबुल में जिस शहतूत बांध के निर्माण पर समझौता कर रहे हैं, उसकी नींव सिर्फ ईंटों और मोर्टार पर नहीं बनेगी, बल्कि भारत अफगान दोस्ती की ताकत पर टिकी होगी.
While Afghanistan has been dubbed and exploited as a strategic landmass by observers and countries over the years, India has supported its peace endeavors through development initiatives. Over the years, India has completed more than 400 projects in all 34 provinces of Afghanistan, and its pledges totaling $3 billion make it the largest donor in the region. Not just this, India shipped 75,000 tons of wheat as an aid to Afghanistan via Iran's Chabahar port, the connectivity point that will be used vigorously in coming times. Afghanistan, which has suffered severely due to pandemic owing to its weak health system, also received 500,000 of India-manufactured Covishield vaccine this week. New Delhi says Afghanistan is its close partner and it will never shy away from assisting it in times of crisis.
चाहे दवाइयां और पीपीई हो या भारत में बनी वैक्सीन की सप्लाई, हमारे लिए अफगानिस्तान की आवश्यकताएं हमेशा महत्वपूर्ण रही है.
Your decision to provide us with 500,000 doses of the vaccine at this critical time when Indians themselves are looking for every single vaccine could not be a greater gift. These doses will be administered to our frontline health workers, our heroic security forces, and vulnerable people. We cherish this act of exceptional generosity.
India has provided shelter to thousands of Afghans who fled violence back at home. While many travel to India for treatment and trade, many others have temporarily settled in India. New Delhi, they say, is their second home. Afghanistan cricket team has made their home grounds in India. The story just doesn't end here. While several others, including China and Pakistan, have been making sustained efforts to increase their clout in the country, it is India helping Afghans silently, improving their lives and endeavoring to bring peace in their country and lives.
One of the most unique features of India is its rivers, and they also hold high religious significance among the people. They are considered as god and goddesses in the country and are worshipped by Hindus. Every year, a number of festivals and rituals are also being held in the holy river Ganga. One such ritual is Mauni Amavasya. So today, we will take you to India's temple towns of Varanasi, Haridwar and Ayodhya, where devotees took a holy dip to mark the auspicious day of Mauni Amavasya. Let's have a look. Thousands of Hindu devotees thronged temple town of Varanasi, took holy dips and offered prayers to mark the occasion of Mauni Amavasya or No Moon Day amid the coronavirus pandemic. It marks the beginning of Shukla Paksh or the bright fortnight of the lunar month. It is derived from the word Muni, which literally means an ascetic who practices absolute silence. This day is also believed to be the birth of Manu Rishi, due to which this day is celebrated as Mauni Amavasya. As per the Hindu almanac, Mauni Amavasya is considered the most important and auspicious day.
और सभी श्रद्धालुगण जो है बहुत श्रद्धा भक्ति से मौनी स्नान कर रहे हैं। वस्तुतः यहाँ पर कोरोना काल चल रहा है और बहुत सारे डर है, लेकिन फिर भी इस आस्था के सामने ये कोरोना जो बीमारी है वो फीकी पड़ गई है।
On this day, people perform rituals for the salvation of their ancestors and give donations to priests or needy. It is believed that the water of the holy river Ganges turns into nectar on Mauni Amavasya.
आज मौनी अमावस्या है और आज के दिन में मौन होकर स्नान किया जाता है और आज के दिन में कुंभ का मेला भी लगता है 12 साल पर इलाहाबाद में। मेन नहान कुंभ मौनी अमावस्या का इलाहाबाद में होता है और मौनी अमावस्या का नहान जो है मौन होकर किया जाता है और दान दक्षिणा किया जाता है यथाशक्ति जिसकी जो शक्ति होती है।
Similar scenes were seen in Prayagraj town, where devotees bathed in the river Ganga and performed various rituals for the well-being, peace and prosperity of their families and ancestors. On this auspicious ritual, people also take a pledge to observe a one-day fast by not uttering a word throughout the day. Every year this ritual is celebrated in a grand manner.
डर तो है, लेकिन अपना दूरी बनाए हुए और मास्क पहन के हम लोग अपना सावधानी बरत रहे हैं।
Such rituals in Hinduism portray the rich cultural history where faith can part a river, move mountains and endure the hardships. It is a set of shared attitudes, values, goals and practices which symbolizes the purity of its Indian culture. It's time for me to wrap up today's episode. We will be back next week at the same time. This is Yeshi signing off on behalf of the entire production team of South Asia Today. Goodbye and take care.